We're going to talk to Doug calling in from Idaho. Hey, Doug, what's going on?
Oh, wow. I've been listening to what's going on with you guys. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on now?
Listen, let me tell you, I'm going to have a stiff drink after tonight, I think, because it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, man.
Gave me an idea.
I'm ready to do. Holy shit. I don't even know if my complaint is even on topic, but I just get concerned about people just believing. I think after watching, and I'm going to get a little political here, just people going down the road of believing what we see in politics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many people believing this or that, not bothering to go down the road of doing research, and it goes down the same road with the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's doing research with whether or not they should wear masks or not, and it's really disturbing to me, and it's frustrating to me. I live in Idaho, and I'm in one of the states where people here are not taking it seriously. And my lady works at Costco, and she's concerned. She wears a mask every day. She's worried about bringing it home to me. She's worried about bringing it home to family members. And it really is disturbing to me, and I just wish people would take it more seriously. And so I just, you know, I mean, for me, why is it that people, especially in my state, are more concerned about their individual freedoms than concerns about protecting people, you know, other people? And
I have a lot of thoughts about this, Doug. I have a lot of thoughts. I want to let Jmike go first, and then I'll give mine.
I'll be short and sweet. I live in Georgia, so like there's no real mask mandates. And that's, at least I see people in the gas stations just not wearing them, and it's things like that. So it's pretty bad here in that aspect too. I would, before I hand it to Dan, I would just, and this is more rhetoric, but I do think it's odd that the people who are very pro-life, you know, all of a sudden now, like, life isn't as important to put on the mask for other people. You know, it seems kind of contrary there. But then at the same time too, it's like the people who have argued against that have been like, well, you don't wear a mask and you could have the cold and hang out with somebody who has HIV and get them sick and die. It's like, all you're doing by presenting that argument is giving me more reason why I should wear a mask when I'm sick at all times, right? And so it's like the arguments there, just like they don't, like, the light bulb doesn't click, you know, and it's strange.
Well, I would say, man, so I'm not an expert in many things. I'm not an expert in this. All I would say is I went to college for part of this, is my communications studies background. And part of what I did study was talking about the history of world communication and, you know, the communication infrastructure that we have in the United States. I think, like, is a pipeline to the beliefs of the average American. And especially now with the internet, now that we have these more isolated pockets of beliefs and stuff, like, I don't think people realize, like, if you don't have as much of a scare for the coronavirus as somebody else, if you are skeptical about the masks and stuff, that's as much of a cultural belief as it is like an epistemological one. Because if you believe that, chances are your friends are also believing that. Like, I hang out with Jmike and I hang out with the people at the ACA. So I'm talking about atheist stuff. I'm talking about skepticism stuff because that's in my milieu. Whereas I imagine the people that around where you live at, Doug, they probably don't know a lot of folks like you that have these other kinds of opinions. And if you're staying in these kinds of bubbles, if you're watching certain news or you're reading certain news, or just if the only news you get is from maybe your conservative workplace or your liberal workplace or wherever, like, that's where you're going to get your beliefs from. It's not necessarily comes from a full investigation of issues. It's just like, this other person believes it and I trust them, and so I'm going to believe it. It's really that simple. It just really is. So
well, I know. It's just so sad. So, Dan, it breaks my heart because sometimes I feel like I'm one of the few people in Idaho. I mean, I know I'm not, but it just feels like there's just so many people in my area are just like, I mean, because my lady, she works in Costco and she sees so many people trying to drive into that store without wearing a mask and just saying like, you know, they don't care about anybody else. And it's so sad.
Well, Doug, let me give you this at least. You know,
it's like, why are you so selfish? Why are you?
I know it's awful, but let me give you this this kind of thing to think about. You know, I'm from Waco, Texas. Okay, before I moved to Austin, I lived in Waco. I started doing this show when I lived in Waco, Texas, and I was like one of the only atheists I knew there. And I felt terribly alone a lot of days because I could be free and talk about this stuff on Friday nights and talk to people like you, Doug. But the rest of the week, I couldn't really talk about this with pretty much anybody except a couple friends that I had that were there that believed the same way I did. But, you know, while I lived in Waco, I did end up having a couple conversations, you know, candidly, because I was younger at the time. It was a bit harder for me to talk about this stuff than it is now. But like, I think I did end up changing some people's minds through my conversations there. And if I stayed in Waco, I would continue to do it. It's easier for me to be a loud and proud kind of atheist here in Austin because nobody really gives a shit here. They really don't. I mean, like some do, but like it's not as bad. But like, you know, you can do what I did, Doug, when I was in Waco, and you can be that person that is starting to change people's minds and maybe could organize other people that feel the same way because, you know, there is not a lot of atheist groups in Waco at all. There's a lot of churches though, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, change does come from people deciding to make a difference. And I truly think at the end of the day, one of the best ways to change this person's mind is through conversations. It's not just sending them a book and hoping that they read it or sending them a lecture or whatever. It just comes from having talks like you and I are doing. So like, you know, I take this despair and turn it into a purpose, Doug. Do something with it because like us in Austin, we're counting on you to do something in Idaho. Because I can't affect Idaho like you can. I really can't. If you know, the only way I can is if you send this video to somebody else in Idaho or something. Because like it's just, you know, I don't have that ability. So just keep fighting the good fight, man. I don't want you to feel despair and give up because we're all in this. We're still here. We're still here, and there's good people that are really fighting this fight. People like Jmike and others that, you know, still believe in things like truth and
maybe the is-ought gap, you know, Hume's is-ought gap can be bridged by the mask fact, right? Like, you know, you ought to wear masks, I think is a pretty valid thing to kind of say there, right? It's like, my thing is like, let's just like say they don't work or something, right? Like someone has that, like, why would you like limit yourself to a potential way of helping people? And it just seems weird even on the hypotheticals, but
yeah. I don't know, Doug, I hope that was helpful. Was that helpful at all for you? Oh, Doug, are you still there? Oh man. Oh, we dropped the call with Doug.
I think he took your advice and went straight out to
maybe he
start
did
hand delivering masks.
I hope he got most of that. I still stand by all that. I mean, and this is for anybody that's watching this that feels alone, man. Like I get that. I get that really, really hard. I mean, like I think we all have family members that we disagree with on this stuff. You know, like I think we all know people in our lives that we wish could change, but people do change their minds. You know, I'm an example of that, and other people are too. It's not the end just yet. It really isn't. I know it feels like it, but we still have a fighting chance here, people. If it was really the end, then like shows like this just wouldn't be here anymore. But they still are.
Jesus would be coming back if it was.
Jesus will be coming back. So. That's true too. But I don't know. We got to keep going, guys. We can't give up now. 2020 has been pretty crazy and demoralizing, but it's still 2021, baby. The ride's not over.